Hi everyone, it's Olga from Olga's Flyer Factory, and today we're doing a very different type of video than what I normally share. We're in our living room with my husband Sergi.
How you doing, guys?
And we're going to talk all about living in Florida, and specifically Tampa Bay because that's where we live. So I get so many questions all the time. Somebody's always asking me what Florida is like, our experience. Either people are interested in moving here or they want to come on a vacation. So today we're going to answer all of those questions and
hopefully all of the questions, right?
Yes, and share our experience and our opinion. So everything we share here is our opinion. We love it here. Obviously, we've been living here for a while. So we're gonna share the things that we love, maybe some challenges that come with living in Florida, and just answer your questions like I said.
I've been living in Florida for 17 years. So 2004 is when I moved here with my family, and we got married in 2006. So that's when Olga came over to Florida.
I'm just gonna interrupt you real quick, and people always ask, how did we meet, since he lived in Florida and I was in New York. He actually lived in New York, and we were living in the same state for many years, 4 years or something?
4 years.
So we were in the same group of friends, we fell in love that way. And then I was in nursing school when they moved here with their family. So I finished school and then college, and then we got married and I moved here.
Yep. So life in Florida is fun, but it's not exactly what a lot of people think outside of Florida. Because people come to Florida on vacation, They think everybody who lives here, they just vacation all the time. Or
we just live at the beach every day.
Right. They are tan, or they're on the beach every day, which is no, it's a little bit different. We live here, so we go to the beach when we vacation sometimes.
When people come visit us from out of state,
correct, yeah.
A lot of times.
And a lot of times we vacation outside of Florida, in somewhere in Georgia or Carolinas in the mountains, because Florida is really flat. So there's no mountains in Florida.
We enjoy something different when we go on vacation ourselves.
So a lot of people come to Florida to vacation. We sometimes vacation outside of Florida, even though we do vacation in Florida, on the beach as well, but we don't live on the beach. We live here, we work here, our life is here in Florida.
Yeah.
So.
We'll start off by sharing some of the things that we love about Florida and the things we really enjoy about living in the Tampa Bay area. We're not going to tell you the exact city where we live because we need to protect the privacy of our family and for the safety of our family. But we live in the Tampa Bay area. It's beautiful. It's on the west coast of Florida, right on the Gulf, near water. Because we live on the coast, it's near water, near lots of beautiful beaches. That plays a big factor in how we experience the weather, the climate, and also there's so many different attractions and stuff like that has to do with just living on the water.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is a very populated area. So if you go up like North Tampa Bay to down south to Sarasota area, it's pretty much cities after city, and you don't see a break between the cities. You drive from one to another, you don't realize that you're already in a different city. It's very populated. So there's not a lot of land in the Tampa Bay area. Outside of it, there is. But that's where we live. And there's a lot of nice beaches around here. Starting probably the most popular one is Siesta Key, then Sarasota, and then Clearwater Beach, that are kind of known beaches around our area. There's a lot of smaller beaches that we go to that are not populated with tourists. When you live in the area, you know where to go where it's not way too crowded.
That's what we prefer. We don't usually go to hang out in Clearwater Beach unless we just go in the evenings. We like to go and just walk because Clearwater Beach it's beautiful.
Very touristy.
It's very touristy. That's what I was going to say, that there's so much people there. We never go there on spring break, winter break, in those times when lots of people come here to vacation because there's tons of people. It's very hard to find parking spots.
Yeah, traffic, yep.
So we prefer to go to the beaches that are less known, just known to locals and where it's not as populated. Our favorite time to go to the beach is during the week on like a Wednesday or Thursday, and we'll go after Sergi is done with work. It's not as hot, not as much people are on the beach, so we love that. It's one of our favorite times to go.
There's beaches that are not as populated, like Indian Rocks Beach. It's in St. Petersburg, St. Pete Beach. Clearwater Beach has not necessarily clear water. The water is not that clear on the Clearwater Beach. The farther south you go, down in St. Pete, the water gets clearer, and then the water is real nice and blue all the way in South St. Pete, off of what's the park at the end in the bottom?
Fort DeSoto.
Fort DeSoto Park.
Anna Maria Island.
Yeah, and then so that's Fort DeSoto Park is at the south point of St. Pete, and then you go across the bridge down south and Anna Maria Island, and then Siesta Key Beach. Those are really beautiful as far as the water goes.
The water is beautiful.
Nice and blue.
It looks
clear.
like it's a picture.
Correct.
Like fake, so blue and so clear.
So if you can find a hotel or Airbnb or something on the beach, it's probably going to be in those areas. But Clearwater Beach has a lot of big hotels, which that's where a lot of tourists settle in the restaurants and things like that.
Yeah, Clearwater Beach is set up for tourists and to be very convenient and beautiful. There's walkways, it's lit
Street
up
lights,
at night, so you can walk. Like I said, we go there in the evenings a lot of times. You can walk and you can hear the sound of the waves and get ice cream. There's lots of places open at night, so it's set up for that. If you go most of the other beaches, they don't have light in the evenings. It's just sand. There's not that much walkways, which is attractive in different ways, but that's just something to consider. Another thing about Fort DeSoto Park is that it is a park, and that's super convenient if you want to grill at the same time as you're spending time at the beach. Most beaches don't have that, but Fort DeSoto Park, it has grills, picnic tables, shelters so you can get out of the sun and then go and swim and hang out at the beach, and then at the same time have a barbecue with your family and friends too.
So what's the best time of the year to come to Florida?
Any time of the year except summer.
Except summer, yeah. So why would you come to Florida when it's nice and warm where you live?
I don't get it.
Because that's when it's the hottest here. That's where we don't go outside too much. I don't work outside. Olga doesn't. We don't work outside, so it doesn't bother us much. Construction and people that have to work outside, and it gets pretty hot in the summer.
Very hot.
And consistently hot. But if you compare the heat over to northern states, we're set up for heat. So every house has an AC, a central AC.
Yes.
All the buildings have central AC. So inside the buildings is very comfortable. Outside is very sunny. And you get in the car, you get AC as well. So we're okay with the summer here, even though it's kind of the worst time of the year for us.
Yeah.
Just like, dreary winters up north, summer for us is something we wait through to get to the good part.
And kind of hibernate more in the summers. We stay indoors. We do more indoor activities. But we still go to the beach in the summers. We just go in the evening or late afternoon when it's not as hot. Another thing that consistently happens in the summer is that it rains every single day.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes, but the rain is very different than rain in other states. Like when we lived in New York, the type of rain in Florida is very different. It's tropical. It pours. It just pours. Like if you go outside, you're going to be drenched. And it doesn't rain for very long. It usually starts around, I would say 3-4 o'clock.
Evening time, yep.
It rains for about an hour or so, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes it'll rain really fast for half an hour, and then it stops, and it's as though it wasn't raining at all. And it's sunny again, but it cools down the temperature a little bit, which really helps in the summers.
Yeah, and if you look at the weather in the summer, you look at the weather app, you'll see rain every day. That doesn't mean that it rains all day. It means that there's going to be rain. It'll come and go within that hour or 2 hours. So don't be scared about, rain every day. It's not like up north when it starts raining, it may rain for a couple of days.
A lot of people ask how we deal with heat and humidity. Is it really awful and unbearable? I would say not, but that's such a personal thing. It's very subjective. I love heat. I get really cold. I've always been always cold. So for me, Florida's perfect. And the summers aren't that long. I don't mind it. Like I said, if we need to, we have reprieve all the time. We can go inside a building and it's cool. It's actually cold. And it's funny because right now it's almost summer. And we were just talking with Sergi that, oh, it's time to get our sweaters and make sure they're in the car because it's so cold everywhere. If you go out to a restaurant or to a store, it's really cold. The AC is blasting. So there's lots of areas where you can cool off. In the summers in New York, I remember, since summers are so short, a lot of buildings don't have central AC. And especially homes, like residential homes, they don't have central AC. There's like a unit in the window. It's just unbearably hot and you can't get away from it. And it's just so uncomfortable. Here, it's not as much. I don't think so anyway. And the humidity, I don't know. It's very humid, but I don't mind it. So I think it's a very personal matter. You may not like it at all. A lot of people hate the heat and humidity. It doesn't bother me. And we can go on the beach in the summers and cool off. So,
hey, humidity is really good for your skin.
Exactly.
So, other states, it's really dry. It's really humid here. So if you hate humidity, probably not the best place to vacation or to live. But again, we were talking about summer. We're talking about May, June, to September.
Yep.
That's the time when it's the hottest, the most humid. After September, all the way to April, that's the time of the year where we want to spend time outside. The temperature is perfect. In the wintertime, December, January, February, it cools down. Also, not much rain at all in the winter.
Yes.
It's very dry in the winter. We have to water our grass outside almost, on a weekly basis because it dries up. So it's really dry in the wintertime. We enjoy that time of the year, and we live through the summer, kind of wait it out until we get to fall in the wintertime.
Yeah. And that's what we really love about living in Florida is how much sunshine is here. It's the sunshine state for a very good reason. It's sunny and bright almost every day. You wake up and I don't know about you, but it affects me that I'm in a good mood and it's just so nice and just so cheerful and bright, and the weather is beautiful. You go outside, it's in the 70s. It's awesome. We love it.
Yeah, typical winter day here is that the sun comes up and it goes down and you see it throughout the whole day, and very little clouds in the skies.
Yep.
So that's a very typical winter day for us. If you choose to come to vacation in Florida, please don't go to the beach at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 1 to 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You're gonna burn. It's not gonna be a pleasant vacation.
And please wear sunscreen. It's every single time we have somebody come visit, they burn.
Well, they want to get a tan. You will definitely get one. We don't really enjoy tan. I mean, we're all kind of white. We stay away from the sun.
When I go to the beach, I have a hat on. I sit under the umbrella and I have sunscreen on.
Right.
I do not want to get a tan.
So don't try to be at the beach at any time from noon until 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Not the best time.
Go in the morning or go in that late afternoon, evening. It's the best time.
So Tampa Bay area is a very populated area, and it's good for jobs, good for opportunities. A lot of different restaurants here to go out to eat. So it's a really cool area that we enjoy living in. There's a lot of areas in Florida that are not populated, smaller areas, and some people like the rural kind of thing. There's a lot of farms in Florida, in the mid-south of us, where they grow a lot of vegetables and oranges and things like that. Florida climate is good for that. So that's where, if you want land, it would be away from the cities. And where we live, yeah, it's really populated. But it's a short drive to work. A lot of big companies are here in this area. So that's pretty cool.
Another thing I wanted to mention about living on the coast and Tampa Bay specifically is that it looks beautiful. We have so many palm trees. The coast, you're just driving to work or anywhere and it's like you're on vacation. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning. I don't know, I've lived here for almost 15 years, and I still don't get tired of it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Especially when we come back from a trip up north, we're like, whoa, it's beautiful here. When you drive in bridges and you have water all around you, there's a lot of water and palm trees. It's beautiful. Definitely beautiful. Yep. We enjoy that part.
And I think it's so well done when we're flying somewhere, and Tampa International Airport is one of the best ones. It's so organized. It's actually one of the top airports in the country, and it's nice and clean. I don't know. We've always had really good experiences in Tampa Airport. And when we land and we drive home, that bridge, like when you get off the Tampa airport, it's so beautiful. There's water on both sides. There's palm trees. It's like, oh, we're home. It's gorgeous here. It's awesome.
So because we live on the coast, our climate is more regulated by the water temperature. So if you look at the weather app and you're going to see the temperature in the summer or winter, it's very stable. Day after day, it's going to be kind of a stable temperature.
What's the temperature like in the summers?
In the summer, it'll probably be about 96 daily. And it very rarely rises over 100, but it stays about 94, 97, but it's consistently like that all day long. And at nighttime, it doesn't cool down.
It'll still be really warm.
Yeah, it's going to be 80s at nighttime. Still kind of muggy at nighttime as well. So it's not like, other states where you're hot during the day, but then really cool at night. It's not like that in the summer. But the temperature is regulated, temperature of the air is regulated by the water temperature. So it's pretty stable and breezy because we're close to the water. It's not as hot as in the middle of Florida, let's say Orlando, or somewhere inland. So if you enjoy the breezy climate, you want to be closer to the coast, closer to the water, because in the middle of Florida, it's hotter than on the coast.
Very popular question. Hurricanes.
Yeah, how do we live through hurricanes?
Are they as terrible as it seems? How can we handle the stress and anxiety of hurricane season? Yeah, hurricane season is a season. It's not just like we get hit with a hurricane out of the blue any time of the year.
Usually the hurricane season starts at the end of the summer, more August, September, very little in October. But that's when the water is hot. That's what, the wind and all that creates those conditions for hurricanes. Hurricanes are predictable. I should say a lot more predictable than
a tornado.
The tornado.
Or an earthquake.
Correct.
We'll see days in advance. Yeah. We'll know, there's a hurricane, there's the tropical storm brewing, a hurricane is coming. In hospitals, they prepare all the time. There's hurricane preparedness in hurricane season. The stores are stocking water and batteries and whatnot. So we know usually in advance that something is coming. We don't specifically know that this is exactly how it's going to happen, but we can be somewhat prepared at least. Make sure we have water in the house and all of that.
Yeah, but if you watch the news and live in Florida, one hurricane that goes through Florida will be talked about for days before it even arrives. Before it arrives, when it's going through Florida. So you will hear about it. You're going to see videos of palm trees swinging in the wind. The branches of palm trees are very soft. So they will move really easy with very little wind.
Yeah.
So, it looks good on camera that, whoa, look at that tree that's swinging.
And we know how media works. They blow everything up and, it's not the most reliable source.
Are we afraid of hurricanes? Not really. We've been through many of them. Thank God nothing bad happened to us, not into our property, to our house. We never boarded up our windows. We live in the area where it's not really windy. We're living on trees and around. The trees are far away from the house, so they don't hit our house. They won't hit our house, so we don't have to board up or anything like that. If you live right on the beach, yes, you definitely have to have, hurricane-proof windows and or board up and things like that if it's a high category hurricane.
And we're not saying that hurricanes can't be dangerous, and a lot of times they are devastating to people who live in those areas that get hit very hard. But we live in an area where if we get hit really hard, it's going to be devastating for this area, like dramatically. In all of the years that we've lived here, there was only 1 year that we lost electricity for more than a few hours. We didn't have electricity for like a few days. That was
2 or 3
Hurricane
days.
Matthew, I believe. And we didn't have electricity. But it wasn't that bad. We had a bunch of broken branches that we had to clean up. and that was about it. We still had water, but in the rest of the years that we've lived here, we've never even lost electricity for more than a few hours. Sometimes the electricity goes off and it's back up in a few hours. So it's usually not that bad where we've lived here. We've never had anything super devastating, which we're so grateful for. And that's kind of what we looked for when we were buying a house. I mean, it would be great to live right on the water, but that is something you need to prepare for. If you're going to live really, really close to the water, you take your negatives with the positives, I guess.
Correct. And then people stock up on water, bottled water, and things like that in Florida. It's just a nice event for companies to sell some water. We never lost water.
Yes,
we
not
don't
once.
remember any time that anybody lost water through hurricane. We just don't lose. We can lose power, but not water. So
And we have a gas range and grill. So actually, even when we lost electricity, we were still able to cook.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So the most uncomfortable about hurricanes for us would be if you lose power for a day or two or three. And then when the hurricane passes through, the sun comes up again and it gets hot and you don't have AC. So that would be the most unpleasant thing about hurricanes. Not necessarily the wind or things that we experience when the hurricane hit. Again, we're not saying the hurricanes are not scary. They are for some people that live on the coast, but not for the area where we live in. So we live on the west coast of Florida, and the Gulf is really calm. The waves here are really subtle, and it's very calm to be on the beach. If you like surfing, big waves, tall waves, it would be the east coast of Florida, Miami, Daytona Beach, and Jacksonville Beach. That coast gets really, really high winds, higher winds, and
certain times of the
waves.
year the waves are so big.
Ours is more calm. And that's what we enjoy.
It's great to go with little kids on our beaches because the water is very calm and it's shallow for a while. So it's lots of areas for the kids to play and you don't have to be as scared. It's much more different when we took the kids on the East Coast and there were big waves and they're not used to that. And little kids, they don't really pay attention as much and the waves can just sweep them off their feet. So it was much more stressful to always keep an eye on them, and the water drops much faster and gets deep much faster. It's just
in some areas, Miami Beach is not as it's shallow for a while.
Different.
But anywhere in between, the drop is quick. And the sand on the west coast, you can find a lot of white sand on the beach. On the other coast, it's more gray. Not gray.
Well, it looks gray compared to...
It's darker sand, yes. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we love the sand, and in some areas the sand is so fine it's like you're walking on cornstarch.
Yep.
It's like it even like squeaks like it, and it's so fine. Oh, it's amazing. And then there's some areas where the beach is much more rocky and a lot of seashells, so it's much more tender on your feet to walk through it.
Big part of Florida, north of Clearwater, it's not really a beach type coast. The water is darker. There's no sand, the beaches and stuff like that, so would be a good area for boating.
And
but
the
not
area
necessarily...
the water isn't as clear either. There's a lot of like seaweed.
Yeah. So north of Clearwater, all the way up to north until you get to Panhandle, it's really not a beachy area per se. And then when you get up to Panama...
Yes, the Panhandle area is very beautiful too.
Yep.
Lots of sandy beaches and, it's very nice there. Now we'll tell you guys about the main attractions of this area and just the things that if you're on vacation or maybe you just moved here, some of the things you might want to check out and the things that are most popular, I guess, in this area. So we'll name a few of them. And actually with this video, I'm gonna do a blog post on my website and I'll actually list all of those things. I'll even share some of our favorite restaurants in this area and all of these attractions that I'm gonna talk about. So you don't have to like write it down or anything. I'll have it all listed in that blog post.
When you come to vacation in Florida and you like theme parks, Tampa has two big parks, which is Busch Gardens and Adventure Island. Also has a big zoo and also the Children's Museum. Yeah, Tampa has the Children's Museum.
An aquarium.
So
all of those things you can check out.
Pretty big size parks and attractions you can visit. Also, Legoland and Disney is only an hour and a half to 2 hours away from here.
The Children's Museum is better for younger kids as well. There's so many fun things to do. You can spend the whole day there. It's really great. By the way, our boys loved Legoland. It was a huge hit for us, and they just have a bunch of rides. It's a theme park, and I would say it's more geared towards younger children. I don't think teenagers would have as much fun there. Busch Gardens would be awesome for teenagers or adults who like roller coasters. They have some pretty wild roller coasters there, and it's just very nice there. So that's a good one to visit.
City of Tampa has a beautiful river walk where you can walk for miles, and it's a sidewalk, a big nice sidewalk next to the river. And it ends all the way at the restaurant hub, where there's a lot of restaurants. What's the name of it?
Armature Works.
Yes.
So there's a ton of restaurants there, all at the same place. So you could go there. First of all, it's just nice and a cool place to walk around. You can find somewhere to sit down, try out lots of different foods, and if you're with a big group, then there's a lot of variety for everybody to choose from. There's also St. Petersburg. That's another big city here in Tampa Bay. And St. Pete Pier, they just updated that. It's also great to walk around. Some restaurants are there. Get ice cream, get some food. Another thing to do there is to rent bikes. We've done that several times and just ride bikes around that area. So it's fun.
If you like to walk around downtown kind of area, not necessarily beach, St. Petersburg downtown is beautiful. There's a lot of restaurants and walk areas, so you can hang out there. Then you have Safety Harbor downtown, Dunedin downtown. All of those have they're adjacent to water, so you can hang out in the city kind of thing, get ice cream and eat at restaurants, and then walk out to see water, which is beautiful. So
yes,
for that kind of a vacation, it's pretty cool to visit downtowns as well.
Clearwater is a lot different downtown. They do have a downtown, but for the past, all of the years that we've lived here, it's owned by Scientologists. They've bought out all of the major buildings there, and if you walk downtown, there's pretty much nothing to do. It's empty, and right now, I guess Sergi just told me the other day.
Yeah, so City of Clearwater, which is not Clearwater Beach. Clearwater Beach is cool. Everything's fine there. But the city of Clearwater, it's right on the water as well.
Downtown area.
Downtown area.
The big buildings.
There's nothing going on there. Yeah, it's all owned by Church of Scientology. There are plans to develop that area for restaurants and companies trying to get in and do that. That's being planned right now. So maybe in the future it'll be different. But basically there's no Clearwater downtown per se.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you didn't know, I didn't know this before I moved here. Scientologists, this Clearwater is one of the biggest areas where there's like a lot of Scientologists. It's
their hub, a main office for the world, I guess. And they own majority of the buildings in downtown Clearwater.
Downtown Tarpon Springs is another small town. It's very beautiful there, going on the docks, smaller restaurants, and it looks very cute. So we really like going there too.
Yeah, it's a really big Greek population in downtown Tarpon Springs. So the Greek restaurants there and sponge docks and things like that. So it's
fresh fish markets. We can buy fresh seafood brought in from the boats. It's really great. Another cool place in Dunedin is Honeymoon Island. So it's very different than all of the other beaches because it's very natural. It's left like wild.
Honeymoon Island is like a park where it has picnic areas in trees and things like that, but also it's surrounded by water and beach. But it's because it's kind of wild, the water and the beach area is really, there's a lot of shells.
Yeah,
so
and
it's
rocks.
it's hard to swim there or walk in the water because of rocks and shells, which is different from any other beaches that we have in this area. Usually they're not, they're more sandy.
And some of the areas have walkways and benches, tables, picnic tables, shelters, and grills, but most of it is left wild, so it's really cool. And I know people go boating there too, so it's beautiful, but it's very different and wild, and I think that's absolutely beautiful too. One of the most popular questions I get asked is bugs, snakes, alligators, creepy crawlies. How do we live there? How can we even go outside? It just, people are appalled when I post stories and show us walking around in the park or in the woods or something. They're like, how can you just let your kids play there? So, Sergi, tell us about the bugs, alligators.
I don't like bugs. Don't like alligators or snakes. We found one snake around our house, small one, and it was a garden snake, not poison, non-poisonous. That's the one that I found around our house through 17 years living here.
Yep.
So alligators, yes, there are a lot of them down south around Miami or Alligator Alley. Yeah, they live in swamps. They do what they do. They don't bother us, we don't bother them.
Yeah, it's not like they're gonna go after you. If you don't bother them, they're not gonna bother you. And we've seen alligators at the park. They look like very lazy. They're just chilling. They're laying there in the water. And there's no alligators in the beaches. So alligators are in swampy areas. There's snakes in swampy areas. So we don't go swimming in those areas. Of course, we have to teach our children to be aware. They know not to go into like jungle-looking wild areas. When I'm hanging out with my kids, I go to the city park where there's tons of people. And if there was a vicious alligator, I'm sure that
it would be removed.
Yes.
And taken care of. Yeah.
Yes, we are aware. We're teaching our kids how to watch for snakes and bugs and alligators, not to go bother them and everything. But we're not going to hide at home because we're scared of nature around us. Mm-hmm. Yes, and we have big giant bugs and lizards. We've had a few lizards in our house, but I don't know, we're just used to them, I guess. Of course, we don't want them in our house, but we get used to it. And
lizards are not harmful at all.
Yeah, they're just, it's not fun to have a lizard running around. But when we walk, there's a bunch of lizards everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's just something we are used to. And then bugs, yes, every once in a while we'll get bugs, but bugs are everywhere, not just in Florida. Mm-hmm. And yes, we have lots of snakes. Some of them are terrible, but it's not something we come in contact with, or it's not a problem that we have to think of that much. And you can't just live your life in fear. That's what I've learned. I lived in New York on 100 acres of land. We were exploring the woods and the creek. I've seen lots of snakes there, lots of bugs, bears. We saw bears. Yeah. So it was like a regular thing, and you don't like get scared to go to New York because there's bears. Guess what? There's bears there, and lots of other coyotes and foxes and wolves. And it's just, you have to know how to respect nature, be smart, don't go somewhere by yourself in the woods where a bear can attack you. But, usually animals, they're not going to attack you unless they're hungry, unless they're provoked. And we love nature, and we're not going to hide away from it just because we're scared of it.
Another question that we get asked all the time is, where is a good place to buy a house or live? What are the good schools in the area? If I would move, where would you recommend I live?
You guys, this is such a subjective question, and it's based on opinion. And everybody has different preferences. I could say I would never live in this neighborhood, but then you would think it's perfect, and vice versa, So we have different things that are important to us. Or what are the prices of houses? I mean, some people would think our house is ridiculously expensive or ridiculously cheap, It depends on your income. It depends on where you're coming from, where you used to live. So I can't just tell you what kind of house is expensive or not. Another thing is that I am not familiar with all of the neighborhoods. And I think you can't say that this neighborhood is good or bad if you don't live there. And I'm not going to tell you what my neighborhood is like because, like I said, we have to protect our family. I'm not going to share that. And even if I did, you may not like my neighborhood, So we did a lot of research when we moved here, and we like this area. Whenever you're going to make such a huge decision like moving, you should come and actually see the area. Stay here for a little while. Come, if you have the opportunity, come in different seasons. So that way you can get a good feel of it and see if you like it or not. It's very hard to just read things online or see what some girl who lives in there lives there says, because it's very subjective based on my opinion and my preferences. You may have very different needs and wants than I do.
Yeah, and looking at the statistics of how many people move to Florida is a lot. I mean, people enjoy Florida, enjoy that there's no state income tax here like in other states. Our sales tax in that area is lower at 7.5%. So there's a lot of good things about Florida, and that's why people move here. If you're thinking of moving to Florida, you should come here in the summer. You should come here in the winter. Stay here for some vacations. Drive around the areas. Explore. Maybe don't buy a house right when you're moving. Maybe you rent a little bit and get to know the area, and then make a decision to buy a house.
And schools, that's another one that everybody asks. I also can't give you an opinion either, because I went to school in New York. I graduated from high school there. I went to college in New York State. My children are homeschooled, so I have no idea what the schools are like. I mean, you can go online and read some ratings. You could call the schools and ask them what they teach. I don't know, but do your own research. I do extensive research when I look at what I want my children to learn, how they're going to be learning, what I'm going to be teaching them. Of course, it's a very important topic, so of course do your research. And I don't have any personal experience with schools in Florida. Sergi never went to school here. He was already an adult when they moved to Florida, so I have no idea.
But yeah, you can research that stuff online. Schools are rated from the worst to the best. Where we live, the schools are great, but it doesn't really matter because our kids are homeschooled.
Yeah, we don't really know what great means, but based on reviews and what people say. Right. One more thing I'd like to add is that if you're wanting to move to Florida because you hate where you live, I think another thing to think about is, why do you hate it where you live? It's possible that when you move to Florida, you'll be just as miserable and just as unhappy as wherever you move, because you're gonna take yourself here too. So if you're just a miserable, negative person where you live now and you're wanting to move somewhere to change that, maybe you need to look a little bit deeper than that. Now, if you're moving because you're just don't like the climate or whatever, then yes, that's gonna make a difference, because we're here, we have sunshine all the time, it's warm. If you like that, that's awesome, you're gonna thrive here. But honestly, I love New York too. I absolutely loved it. We love visiting there. I never said it was a horrible place to live. So I think that no matter where you move, there are positives and negatives. There's negatives about Florida. There's positives about Florida. There's negatives and positives in every single state. Another thing we should briefly touch on is churches, because that's another popular question that people ask. But you know what? Everybody has very different opinions about churches. What one person might think is a very conservative church, another person would think the same church is way too contemporary for them, or they have different viewpoints on different things.
Church is also very important to us. So we took time to find the church that we think is a really good church for our family, to raise our kids in. There's several churches around this area. There are Russian, Ukrainian, Slavic speaking. So you can research them online and visit them. We know a lot of cool people from those churches. We're a part of the American church community. We go to a pretty large church, and we enjoy it. We've been there for over 7 years now. Do your research and find a place where you can grow spiritually and enjoy.
That's the most important thing, that you feel comfortable, you feel at home, you love the people there, and you can grow spiritually. I think that's the main thing, where you can grow as a family, you get closer to God, and if that church is that, then that's awesome. We hope you guys enjoyed this video and us chatting about Tampa Bay, Florida. We're really glad that we chose this area to live and to raise our family right now, and we hope that this this was helpful for you, make sure to check out my website. I'll have a link in the description below where I'm gonna write up a whole blog post, like I said, where I'll share all of these things, the different attractions in Tampa Bay, the restaurants, I'll add the ones that we enjoy here. And if you do live in this area and you have any recommendations for us, we're always looking for some cool places to explore and different restaurants to visit. So leave me a comment and let me know. Thanks for watching, and I hope you get a chance to someday visit the Sunshine State in our beautiful Tampa Bay.